Evening, everybody. It's Marsha Easley. This is the SOS show with Mary Evans. Mary's not going to be here tonight, but she's given me a great platform where I can talk about something that's so very close and dear to my heart. So the name of the show today is Mom's View of Autism. So I don't know if anybody knows that about me, but I have an autistic son, and he's 30 years old. So I've been living with a lot autism for a long time. So what I want to do first is just give you a quick little definition what autism is, because everybody don't know what autism is. So my job and my goal is to bring autism awareness. So this is what I want to tell you. Autism or autism spectrum disorder refers to a broad range of conditions characterized by challenges with social skills, repetitive behaviors, speech, and nonverbal communication. So that's just the dictionary version of it. But what we're going to do is tell you the real, what it's really like, what we're going through, the things that we've been going through as mothers raising children with autism. So right now, I want to introduce one of my guests. She's coming in here really soon. That's me and my son. That's Juan. And Juan is my poster child for my Autism Foundation. So next, I'd like to bring in Miss Nadine. What is right? Yeah. Hey, Nadine. Is she coming in? Well,
I'm coming in.
there she
Hi,
is. Hey, Nadine.
how are you?
Hey, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Nadine Wright-Arbubakrr. I am the proud mother of a 16-year-old nonverbal son who is on the autism spectrum.
Oh, yes, and I love Nadine. Nadine and I met in California, where we've always done a lot of volunteering, and I met her at Holly Rob's event. It's Holly Robinson's event, and since Holly Rod is her organization, and what they do, what her organization do is raise all kind of money for the autism community. The SOS show. And the main thing they like to do is give to the underserved communities, those who don't have those great area codes and we don't have the help, don't have all the resources. So Nadine, can you give me a little information about what you're doing, or give me your story about you and your son? Give me your story. How when was he diagnosed, and what was you going through when you got the diagnosis?
Well, my story is probably a repeat of so many other stories out there. We all pretty much have the same idea. We noticed some changes in our children when they got to be a certain age. For me, it was around 18 to 20 months. I noticed that my son, my only son, and my last child was flapping his hands. He was running back and forth. He was doing things that my other three children, who are all girls, weren't doing. And I couldn't understand what it was. He was doing high and by, but then all of a sudden it seemed like it just stopped. It was like a light switch went off, and I couldn't understand why. So of course I took him to the pediatrician and I said, hey, he's not doing the same thing the girls were doing. He's walking, but he's not saying hi and bye. He's not giving me the eye contact that he was giving me, because he was at some point doing it. And my doctor said, oh, boys are different than girls. They develop differently. They're a little more likely to develop later. So I took that with a grain of salt, but as a mother, your intuition kicks in that something's wrong. So after one day him not responding to his name out of the blue, it prompted me to try to do more, and I was able to put him in a school setting, because prior to him being in a school setting, he was in a babysitter's house. Needless to say, the very first day the teacher came up to me very hesitant, and she said, I think that maybe you should get your son evaluated. And I looked at her and I said, really? I mean, I was happy. And she was taken aback, because she was like, normally when she talks to a parent and she says that there may be something that you may need to get your child evaluated, she said it became an attack on her and a defense in terms of my child is okay. But I was elated because I knew something. I knew in my gut and my heart, because that's who we are, nurturing parents. We get an intuition. So that led me to start the process of early intervention, and then going to a developmental pediatrician. and then the ball rolling. I live in a state where autism is the highest rate in the country, is in the state of New Jersey. So right now in the state of New Jersey, we have the highest rate of autism in the country, with the least amount of resources. So as I started the journey to try to find out what autism was, and I will tell you, it changed the course of my life. What it didn't do, though, and I'm very adamant about this, and telling any parent who is listening to this, autism does change your life. It just doesn't change the way you live. It just means we live differently, but we still live. Some parents don't think they can live through this.
That's so true, because my story was, my son was going, he developed very, he started walking, he was 9, he was doing, hitting all the right boxes, checking all the right boxes. But when he got to be like 2.5, I started noticing that he was acting like he couldn't hear. So I would talk to him, and it looked like he was just like, I'm looking right through him. So I thought he had a hearing problem. So I took him to the doctor, and she said that she thought I should take him to a specialist. So they went and did the EKGs. That's the one they do at the head. They went to see what was going on with his brain, and at that point, he was 2.5. He was diagnosed. I got the diagnosis that he had autism. Now, let me tell you, 2.5. At 2, he knew how to write. He knew his ABCs. He knew his numbers. But then, like I said, 2.5, something it was like, I don't know. It was like over. Did you get like this? Seemed like it was automatic or like all at once, but it wasn't gradual to me, and it was just kind of scary to me, because I was like, I didn't know anything about autism, especially 30 years ago. Autism wasn't really talked about 30 years ago, and like I always say, my story is that I thought about, only thing I knew was the Rain Man. That's the only thing I knew about autism back then, and I was like, my son is not going to be like Rain Man. I was sad. I was sad. I was depressed. I cried about it. And then I finally had to say, you know what, Marsha, you got to find out some more stuff. It's time for you to, stop having your little pity party and get ready and help your child and find out what this is and what I can do to help. So I don't know if you went through the same range of emotions that I did, because I was confused. Now, your son is 16. He's a little younger. So it was a little bit, had you heard about autism when you got the diagnosis?
No, I didn't. I mean, I heard about it, but I didn't hear about it, honestly, in our community. Here's the thing that it made me think about, though, as I started to learn more and do my research, is we all had that uncle, right, that was in the home with the grandma and always take care of them in the back room, but we never knew what it was, because in our community, and I'm going to talk about it, in the African American community, we didn't want to talk about it. We didn't want to acknowledge it. But I think it's important that we do, because these children won't always be children. They'll be young adults, and then they'll be adults. And they deserve to have the same type of life as any other child has, but we have to get them the supports that they need in order for them to be productive in their own communities. And I think we have to have more Holly Robinson Peets come out, because I think what she has done in using her platform was phenomenal, especially in helping. She was a huge inspiration for me, but I think, so many of us, everyday people, so to speak, don't want to talk about it because we're embarrassed, we're ashamed, we don't want our children labeled. But what Holly did for us, and I truly am grateful to her for that, is she spoke about it. She didn't try to keep it hidden, because, there are a lot of celebrities, athletes, who have children on the spectrum, and they don't talk about it because they think it's private, but they don't realize that the value of what they could do to help so many, because I'm sure Holly knows it, but she may not even understand the magnitude of the lives she has changed and inspired, because she was one of the reasons that I embarked on a journey to start a nonprofit and make a difference in my own community. What Holly does on that national level is phenomenal, but I didn't want to be national in that sense. I wanted to be local. I wanted to get to those families in the underserved inner city communities that no one was helping and no one was talking to, or they weren't even talking about it because there was nothing here. So, that led me on a journey, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, it led me on a journey to no longer be a part of the problem in my community, but to be a part of the solution. And that's why 8 years ago, I embarked on a journey to start an organization that was inspired by my son called Nissan's Place.
Yes, we're going to talk about that even more a little bit later. But what she's saying is so true. I had to go through the journey I had to with my son, that was because it wasn't being addressed in the schools, especially in our school system out in Pontiac. I had the honor, we had the great honor of being able and privileged to be able to go to my son to Birmingham, Michigan schools, which is a very affluent area in Michigan. So it was, that helped him out a lot, but he was still being held back a lot because, he was very high functioning. We probably need to explain it.
Excuse me 1 second, Marsha.
Go ahead, I'll explain. In autism, there's called the autism spectrum, because there are high functioning autistic, and then there are low functioning, there are nonverbal. There's so many different levels of autism that people don't understand. And a lot of time, like she said, we are so in denial. And I know everybody at home can probably think about it, especially, people my age or a little bit younger can think about those kids that were in your classroom, or the ones they put in a special ed kid, just threw them in a special ed class, that were probably autistic at that time. But a lot of time parents fight. They fight about it. They're like, oh, you're not gonna put my kids in no special class and stuff like that, because they, like we said, they're in denial about the diagnosis of their child. So what I want Nadine to talk about, she inspired me so much that I started my own foundation. It's called the Inspirational Spectrum Heroes. And I got my inspiration from Miss Nadine, because when I met her and I saw her and she started talking about what she was doing in New Jersey, and she started this by herself, and I was like, oh my God. Then I seen what Holly Robinson was doing there on a much bigger level. And I was like, wow, this was great. So Nadine, when I used to just watch her when we used to go to these big events with all these movie stars and big money people. And Nadine was so smooth with it. She was like, yes, my name is Nadine, and I got this, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm doing it. And she just, the way she put herself out there and wasn't ashamed to talk about it and pulled in all the support. And she just kept telling me, you can do it. You can do it. I will help you. And she was so unselfish with giving me all the tools I needed to start my own foundation. So Nadine, tell me a little bit about your foundation and all the wonderful things you are doing.
Listen, I got to tell you, I'm grateful in the sense that God chose me for this journey, even though in the beginning I didn't understand why me. And I understand, we all have a purpose in life. We sometimes think we know what it is, but then God has a bigger plan. And, when Nissan was diagnosed, I cried like a baby, because all my dreams, once I did my research, all my dreams and hopes, basketball mom, football mom, my kid is 6'6", almost 300 pounds. He would have been on somebody's field. But all those dreams were kind of dashed in the sense that,
Right.
Why me? And then I had to think God gave his only begotten son so that we all could be here. So I think God had a purpose for me, and he used Nissan. And because of Nissan, hundreds, if not thousands of children's lives over the last 8 years have been enriched. But the one thing I will tell you, I started the organization because when I started to look for programs in my community, which is predominantly urban inner city, I couldn't find a respite program. I couldn't find after school programs. I couldn't find Saturday programs, enrichment programs. I couldn't even find activities, no sensory friendly movie days. None of that existed in the community. And I asked myself why. And I kept asking people why. No one could tell me why. But then, it took 3 years for me to decide that this was a journey that I needed to go on. And I took a huge leap of faith. I left my corporate job. I was in banking industry for over 25 years. That was my career. And I knew that this is what I was going to retire on. But as I said, God had a different plan. So I started a nonprofit. And the joy that this organization has brought to the lives of so many children and families makes me understand now why God made sure it happened. Because these families tell me all the time that they don't know where they would be if Nissan's Place didn't exist. And I'm going to tell you why. Because Nissan's Place provides after school programs, Saturday respite care. We provide basketball camps. We provide sensory friendly movie days, workshops, masquerade celebrations, holiday parties, retreats. We're doing everything in our community that other zip codes and suburban communities are doing it. And we're also making sure that because these families are financially challenged, that they're not going without. You know, it's interesting because to have a program in the community, when I was told that I could go to a respite program for my son when he was first diagnosed, meant I had to drive an hour and a half away from my home. So an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back for a 4-hour respite. It was unheard of for me. And so many of our families in the urban inner cities were frustrated. So they kept their kids home. They kept them hidden. They didn't want to talk about it because they felt like they were alone and they felt like there was no hope. But through Nason's Place, we have changed the course of the way people think. And Marsha, I just want to say this. I know you said earlier how I inspired you. I'm glad that I'm able to inspire you and others, because my goal and my hope is to take the same concept for Nason's Place and put it in every underserved inner city community in the country. I don't want to go in and have a Nason's Place in every community, but I want to go in and help these communities get an organization similar to Nason's Place in their community. And I'm willing to come and do what I can to help you or anyone else get to where they need to do, so that our babies and all these children are my babies can have the same type of resources that any other child has, and so that they can reach their full potential.
That is so awesome. I mean, I know everybody out there is going to be blown away because I'm taking baby steps. I'm getting there. I really want to bring that to Pontiac community. We have a very large autism community. But one of the focus of my foundation, Nadine, is what I'm really been concerned about is once our children grow up to be adults, like my son is now, what happens to them? What happens to them when we're not here? So I'm really focusing and working with a lot of organizations to find out what we can do, because they want a quality of life. You know, we want them to have a quality of life. My son right now is living in his own place. He has 2 roommates, and his house is supported, but you know, he's independent. And I have seen him grow. I've seen him grow since he's been out of the house. And this was his idea to get out the house, not mine. So, you know, it was his idea to say, hey, I want my own place. And I'm like, that's not going to happen, because I thought he was going to be with me for the rest of his life. But, you know, going and saying that about the being adults is, when I'm gone, who's going to take care of him? Because we know most of them get Social Security. And if you don't have everything in line, the state would take over. They would take over their money and their lives. So I'm trying to work with lawyers and everybody else to try to find out how to get trust and everything. So he won't have to be, I won't have to worry about that. He won't have to worry about that. He can still live the way he's been living. Because I know you have to think about that too, Nadine. What, you know, nobody's going to take care of our kids like we do, but we're not going to be here forever. So that's really a big thing that's in my heart that I really want to get some answers to and get, you know, all that stuff lined up.
And that is very important, because as you say what you say to me now, I think about a young man called Brandon, by the name of Brandon. I don't know if you've seen the post that I posted about Brandon, but Brandon was a young man. He's 26 years old. His mother and his aunt, who were his primary and only caregivers, both passed away suddenly 3 months apart. Brandon is now a ward of the state. He doesn't have much family, and the family he does have, unfortunately, are not able to visit them as much as they want to or should or could. I don't know, but I do know my heart hurts for him. Nason's Place is there for him. We go get him. I even bring him to my house during the holidays. He has no visitors, and he is in this world, and that's every parent's worst fear. And I tell parents, please start your village now, you know. And here's this crazy thing about this thing called autism is the people that we think are going to be there for us, like our family and friends, they don't get it. Your village is going to come from people like you and I who truly do get it. There are some, and I got to tell you, we have some amazing educators, therapists out there who dedicated their lives to helping our children. And I do have some family and friends who do support and help me. But for me, and I think I told one of my friends this before, you will never understand what I go through every day raising a child with autism. She was offended by it. And I said, you
Mm.
shouldn't be because you don't understand. Because you can't tell me that you understand because you're not with me 24/7. Marsha, you know from being a parent of a child with autism, when those doors close and at night we're in here, there's headbutting, there's kicking, there's screaming, there's yelling, there's sleepless nights. You know, you get to see our kids sometimes for a short period of time, and you know they may behave a certain way, but when those doors close, we know an autism mom knows more than anybody, or a caregiver who takes care of these children, that is challenging for us. You know, it's nice for people to see our children doing well and making milestones, but a lot of times they don't see our reality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very pleased to say that, you know, my reality for Nason has changed from where it was 10 years ago. My son would hit, kick, spit, scream, yell. It was grueling. It was heartbreaking. I couldn't console him when he went through a meltdown because he would hit, kick, scream. I had to learn to step back. And for parents who are nurturers, that's hard to do. But, you know, another parent who's living it could definitely understand what we're going through. So I just tell anyone out there that's listening, if you have friends and family that has a child with autism, please support them any way that you can, even if it's to come over and watch their child for 1 hour or 2 hours. You know, that makes a difference
It
in
does.
our lives. It does.
It does. And you work with a lot of families, you know, with your foundation and your building and the things you're doing. Do you find out that there's more moms this there, or do I know? Because I know a lot of fantastic, not a lot. I know some autism dads that are great, but I have noticed many things I go to. It's the mothers that are there who are taking on most of the weight of everything that needs to be done. Do you have a equal amount of moms and dads that stepping in, or how's it work with you there?
Unfortunately, we already know the statistics are there with single parent households. So add that with a child with a disability. As we know, more men leave than stay. But unfortunately, the families we serve are predominantly, I would say, about 70% single parent households. Single incomes, multiple children, some with multiple children on the spectrum. We do have some families who have some amazing dads who are doing their jobs. And, you know, I applaud those men, but you know, someone said to me, "Why are you applauding them? They're doing what they're supposed to do." Because unfortunately, so many of our men aren't, and it takes a real man to
Mm-hmm.
step up and do his part as a father. So yeah, we do have that disparity here as well, where we just have moms. So you know, one of the things that I'm working on getting is mentors for these young men because a lot of our kids are on the high end of the spectrum. They don't have father figures. You know, they don't have anyone that they can go to help. Mom doesn't know where to go or how to get the support. And our young men, whether they have autism or atypical, they need that role model in their lives. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, one of the things Nissan's Place is going to do, and I'll throw this out, Marsha, over the last 8 years, we've been able to provide quite a bit of resources and programs and made it accessible and affordable, but we never had our own home. And when I say that, we've been fortunate to have space donated to us throughout the county that I live in, which is Essex County. But we never had a place called Nissan's Place that was ours. And I'm grateful to all the community partners and all the municipalities that has supported us. But I'm very pleased to share with you today that Nissan's Place was gifted a building in the great city of Newark by Mayor Aububakrr. Newark is the largest city in the
Awesome.
state of New Jersey,
That's awesome.
and he recognized the work that we were doing that was very, very important. But not only that, he recognized that we needed a place that our children and families can come to. And the one thing I can appreciate, and I tell people all the time, Nissan's Place is an organization for children and families, no matter where they're from. You know, unfortunately, autism does not discriminate. So we will take
Mm-hmm.
a child, you know, people say, oh, do you have to live in a certain city? No, you don't have to live in a certain city. If you're in need of support or if you want to come and be a part of the world that we've created for ourselves, because unfortunately, there's times where we have to have our own community because our children sometimes can't blend with the general population because of the noise that comes in with certain
Mm-hmm.
things or the long lines that come in. And what
Mm-hmm.
we try to do is make sure that doesn't happen. So I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Newark Mayor Aububakrr and the city of Newark for gifting us with a building. And my hope is other cities will follow. And if they don't have an organization in their community doing great things for autism, or they have some in the community, but they don't have a home, open up those doors and give them a home so that they can serve these children and make sure that they're getting the best possible supports in their own community. You should never have to leave their community to get resources and support.
That's awesome, and I'm hoping, and I'm very happy to say that now that I've been doing this, I just been doing it over a year, and I was glad that our school board, especially our superintendent, she really stepped up and was, just wanted to be a part of anything I was doing to help support my foundation, and also the city of Pontiac. They were really great when I did my autism walk and giving me support too. So that was awesome. So more and more that we get out there and show what we're doing, the more support we're going to need. I found out, Nadine, doing this, that I was like, really, it was really hard for me to ask for money from organizations, stuff like that. Okay. I'm going to stop for a minute now because we have another special guest that's in the house now. And would love to introduce my girl, our friend, my BFF, Miss Vana Thiero, Pontiac's own Vana. She's out here in California. Hey, Vana.
Hi, Marsha. Hi,
Hey,
Nadine.
Vana, how are you?
Hey, my aunt, mom, sisters.
Yes, let me tell you a little bit about Vana. I've been knowing Vana since junior high school, so that's a lot of years. I'm gonna say, hey, we look good. That's like 50 years we've been knowing each other. I even knew her dad before her, but Vana's the one who introduced me to the California life. So when everybody see me doing all that stuff, I'm like, Vana got me out there. And when I found out that Vana has 2 children on the autism spectrum, that's Vana and her 2 handsome young men. They are so handsome. And so Vana's been doing a lot. So I'm going to let her tell her a little bit of her story with her son and some of the stuff she's doing, because me and Nadine have been getting it in, waiting on you, Vana. And thank you. Vana rushed home from work and California traffic to do this. So, Vana, up to the people.
Well, first, I have to piggyback on what I heard just before you brought me in. And again, I've said it before to Nadine when she first got her building. I'm so happy that you made that happen. And getting a building is a blessing, but it's not a small feat. That woman is an advocate who all the legislators, all the powerful businessmen in her region knows that she's about autism. They know that she's a woman, if they entrust her with monies, it's going to be spent for the good of children diagnosed with autism. Mm-hmm. They trust that when she says she's going to do something for the community, she gets it done. And from the day I met her, I knew she was a visionary, and she's got the gift of influence. Just let her open her mouth, and whatever she says, we all going. We doing whatever Nadine says.
That's right.
She gets in your ear, she's got you. Because she is very powerful in terms of her mission, her desire to make a difference while she's here on this planet. And that's the same thing I love about you, Marsha. You are the same way, whether it's autism, whether it's, what is it? You do Girl Scouts, you do
alumni functions.
Yes, you provide scholarships for children to go to school. You do so much, my love. You take care of your family. You take care of your mother. You take care of other family members. You take care of one of your granddaughters who lives with you, and anybody else who needs help. Marsha's there, and I just applaud you for. She says she saw me and came out here. Okay, she followed her calling, and when she saw things happening, she didn't sit back and say, oh, they doing stuff in California, wish I could go, wish I could be it. She came out here. She got around Nadine, she got around me, she got around Beverly Hutchinson, she got around Holly Robinson Peete and her staff, Cinnamon Marlboro and Janella Blair. She got around Ariva Martin.
Yes, Nancy. Don't forget
And
Nancy.
Nancy Allspa
And
Jackson.
Shannon
She got
Penrod.
around these powerful female
Powerhouses.
advocates, and she didn't just look at them as that's us at one of Act Today's galas, Nancy
Yeah.
Allspa Jackson and me when I was blind. I was almost platinum in that picture there. Yeah, but she got around them and didn't do what many of us tend to do, which is side-eye them. Give them the stank look. Like, they got that going. No! We cannot afford to look down on anybody who's raising the bar. Just like Beyonce with Black is King. She came out and raised the bar of female entertainers, stars, producers, writers, and everybody's got to get with it. And Marsha came out and saw what was happening. And do you know she went back and she just knocked it out the park? The very first autism walk in our hometown. She did that within a year. She stayed on the phone with Nadine and with Beverly, people who have already launched their nonprofits, and they held her hand within months. She filled out the paperwork and established a nonprofit for autism. She did it. She did it.
Thank you.
No time.
Thank you. But let me stop you because I want to hear Miss Vana. I want to hear Miss Vana tell a little bit about your story and about your handsome young men.
Because you're amazing. You need to tell people you're amazing.
Let's go ahead and hear you.
Well, you guys, I'll give you a little history. Of course, I have two sons on the spectrum. For those of you who don't know, my oldest is now 23 and he's verbal. My youngest is 21 and he's considered nonverbal or a non-speaker. And he's been blessed with being able to learn to communicate through what's called RPM, the rapid prompting method, where you point to letters and spell words and spell sentences. Eventually you use a communication device, meaning something that's electronic that will automate the words that you spell and the sentences you write. So he was on his way till the pandemic hit, you guys. My oldest son was working part-time at Outback until the pandemic hit. And so it's really been a big challenge with our family. I've seen my youngest son with our continued Zoom calls throughout the week. He seems to be regressing a little bit. He had quite a bit of language, just natural responses prior to the pandemic. And he looks extremely lethargic, and it's really painful because I'm not able to visit him, which is another thing. And that's my new quest, to find a legislator to help me create protocol for family visits. Now, I just came from work. I'm blessed to be well. I don't take it for granted. And I'm vigilant. I protect myself. I protect my household. Now, if I can put on a mask and go to the grocery store, I can put on a mask and go to work. I can't even go to work without a CDC screening every day. If I can do that, why isn't there protocol for me to visit my son? Now, supposedly, if he does see me, he has to quarantine in his room for 14 days. Do you think that could happen, first of all? Could it happen for 5 hours without personal body injury to himself or property damage? Let's be for real.
Yes, for real.
Holes are gonna be someplace. A door will be off the hinge. Something is gonna happen. And and I've worked very closely with the group home that he's in, and I love the founders of the White Group Home. Very, very good-hearted individuals who have been wonderful for my child in so many ways. Excuse me 1 second. Can we turn off the water there for a little bit, sir? Thank you. Is that better, ladies?
Yes, it is.
By the time that garbage disposal came out.
Listen, if Nathan was here, you would be seeing him in the background. So make no excuses for our babies.
No, that wasn't that. Anyway. So Anyway, yes. So I'm wanting to find a way to get well family visits. I know we have agencies that can provide conference rooms that can be sanitized, and there are many families like me who are feeling this. I went off after 3 months. Now it's 4 months, and it's very difficult. So, let us, have an hour, sanitize the room. A half an hour later, let another family have it. If I can go to the grocery store, why can't I be that close with my son?
Right.
If I can go to work, why would my son have to be around me and then quarantine?
That's Vana, is that a state law or something? Why is that happening?
It is. It's part of what's been set in place for group homes. Now, group homes themselves can bend the rules, but do you really want rule bending group home owners? I don't. True. I like the fact that my son is protected by wise people who do follow the law to the letter. Now, there is a middle ground there, because the truth is some group homes have gone against protocol and their clients have been infected. Oh, wow. At the beginning of the pandemic, many families took their children out of group homes, and therefore funding came away from the group homes, and the group homes folded. So it's a real catch-22 here. I'm asking for us to develop serious well family protocol. Let's do X, Y, and Z. We know that we're safe. We know that we're well. Let's visit for an hour. Okay. With no need for post-quarantine. Now, that's the youngest son, and I love him so much. Just if he says, if I hear I'm so happy.
You know what? There's a lot of those things that we take for granted that means so much to us, that people with, with normal kids, when like Nadine posted that her son took out the garbage, that was a big deal when, things that other people take for granted, when your son gives you a hug, because our children are not very affectionate like that. So if they hug you, it's like, oh my gosh. So it's things that most people take for granted that we're just getting so excited about. Now, Donna Jean Brown says, I applaud you ladies, because so many people are in denial about their children and their different abilities. That is so true.
In the African-American community, it's extremely true, because we have a cultural history of hiding and not talking about things that we don't know about, disabilities. Okay, I had my father, his aunt, we called her Aunt Tuta, because, it's like sister, but in the South it's Tuta. So we had an Aunt Tuta who was what they call touched. I believe she was autistic, because now that I see autistic behavior, she fell into that category. Only certain people understood what she said. She'd say, and somebody say, Aunt Tuta said she wants this. And I'm like, I didn't hear that. But, when you're around somebody who has different language patterns, you understand them. I believe she was autistic. Sure. I don't know. There weren't diagnoses in that day. But did the family actually seek them? I know now that there were diagnoses done during her time, because of the other people that are, her age that, were diagnosed with autism. Yeah, so I just want to say a little bit about my son, Carter.
Let me read something real quick. Oh, well, they took it away. Let me read this real quick. Veronica Thiero said, Nason's place is amazing. We think Nadine have foundation for all that she do for the urban community. And she does need to be applauded for that. Okay, so I know we're getting close on our time, Vana. So tell me a little bit about Carter.
A little bit about Carter. So he was in community college part-time and working part-time. And this just really put him back in front of the computer 24/7, watching movies and doing whatever he does on the computer. Now, granted, he wants to be a filmmaker, so the more films he watches, the more he watches over and over, the better he will become, all of that sinking in. And that's my positive twist on it.
Yeah. We'll take that. We will take that. Tell us
Yes,
about your
I gave him the book to
Vana.
read, and Bakari's also reading. So Bakari and I have been reading The Great Gatsby, and we are nearing the back end of that book. We read every time, you know. And Carter was reading a Tony Robbins book on finance. So I'm hoping to get them both next reading D.L. Hughley's book. What is it called? Something White People. I don't know. Anyway, he's done the research, you guys, and it's like an academic history of Black history. DL has actually done it, and we want to actually move forward and get that into schools. But anyway, that's where we are right now. I'm also producing a documentary series, Believing in Miracles in Spite of Autism, where both these ladies are featured. And you can make a donation to the film because we want to start editing soon, and we have to pay our editors. So go to Believing in Miracles in Spite of Autism.com, or go to the acronym BIMISOA.com and give from your heart. We appreciate every little and large amount.
Please donate. Vana did another documentary. Her first documentary was so inspiring and awesome. It was about her life with her sons, and it was so raw. It was so very raw, and it just, you know, it made you cry, it made you laugh, but it really gave a great insight into some of the things that autism parents go through. And if we ever get a chance, I'm going to have to screen it somewhere. We have to do something to screen that again, you know, even before the next documentary comes out, because it's really eye-opening. And you did an amazing job on that. That film was shown all over the world, and it was great. And
it was nominated for an Africa Movie Academy Award. Thank you, Nadine. So Nadine, let me know if whenever you pull together a group of parents, it's a great educational tool for healthcare workers. I played it for many nurses associations. I played it for teaching associations, you know, because people need to know what to expect, and they need to know when they meet us, the parents, what we've lived, because we show up with a smile. They don't know we have baggage. We are just, we know how to put on the face and make it happen because God blessed us with patience and inner joy. And that's why we have our babies. We're
going to make that happen. We're going to make that happen. Because as Marsha said, when I'm embark on something, especially when it's something for our children and our families, I'm all in. So you and I will definitely talk about it, and we will get a group of parents together to see it. And I got to say, you talked about us, Marsha and myself, but I'm in awe of you. And, you know, I often tell you guys that, you know, through this journey called autism, it has been one of the most life-changing, the most sometimes unexpected, but rewarding things that I've ever could have done. And what God has allowed me to do is to meet amazing sheroes like the both of you. And I call you sheroes, and I call any autism mom and parent out there, you know, who is doing the work that we do and living the lives that we live. You all my sheroes. You all inspire me to be not only a better mother, but a better person in our communities. And, you know, I'm just grateful to be here amongst both of you, because, you know, we're in this world called autism, and for a lot of us, it's unknown territory, you know, because no one, as you said, Vana, no one's talking about it as much in the urban inner cities, African American communities. And it's important that we become these voices, and that we don't let our children get lost because of ignorance. And that's all it is ignorance. So I thank you, ladies, for what you do. Yeah,
it is. And that's why. And it's amazing that, you know, autism moms, the things that we've done, because like I said, all the inspiration you guys have given me is all because of autism mom. Holly Robinson started hers because of her son, RJ, being autistic. Nancy Jackson Osborne started hers because of her son, Shannon Penrod, Beverly, Beverly Hutchinson. It's just so many people that are moms. All the things we do is because of we are autism moms. So we probably don't get the credit that we deserve, but we're not even looking for the credit.
We're not looking for it.
We're not looking for it. We're not looking for no pound of back. We don't want nobody to feel sorry for us, because all we're trying to do is help our families and help other families who have autism. I have so many people call me now, and like, my son is 26, or my daughter is 26. You know, it affects boys more than girls. So there's a lot more boys.
I was getting ready to say that. What was the common denominator in what you were saying? It was all boys.
A lot of boys. And so they call and they like, what do you do? So I am not the expert. So what my foundation is trying to be is the resource, the conduit, where I can send you to the experts, or the financial person, or the doctors, or anybody that might be able to help you with your journey, your work, or your needs that you have. So that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm trying to hook up with all kind of organizations. And I've been doing a good job. It's a lot of work. So I can use all the help I can get. I need my community to come together for me. They have been so far.
Anybody out there who knows Marsha, she needs volunteers. Reach out to her and tell her you'll give her a minimum of 2 hours a week. If you could spare 4 for Inspirational Spectrum Heroes, that will be awesome. And the same for Nadine. She's got to make this new center work and function all week long. Please reach out and say, I will give you 2 to 4 hours a week. And if they have a big event, give them a full 8 hours. Listen, I want to say one other thing. The documentary, Believing in Miracles in Spite of Autism, is helping the future of autism, because as Marsha mentioned, it's we parents who have created all these things, programs, systems of care and treatment that have improved living conditions and intelligence and the way of educating our autistic children. Now, what happens when we, the parents, are gone? Will these programs, systems, and ways of operating and ways of educating, will they stay in place? We don't know that. And so that's what this film is about. That's what Believing in Miracles is about. Showing the world exactly what we've labored intensely for the past 30 years to create, so that there is housing, so that there is adequate education, so that there are jobs. We've created, Holly created a workforce initiative. She created a vocational center that employed my son. You know, there are programs around the country, and I've been able to meet these people and profile what they're doing so that these can be duplicated in other areas, because we need to sustain this population when we're gone, and we need their peers, the typical peers, the neurotypical peers of all of our autistic children, to stand up and remember that they went to school with somebody with autism, and not just look the other way. And when legislation comes down because people are overwhelmed of where they're going to live and they want to warehouse them in some institution and not really care for them, we want our children's peers to stand up and say, that is not good legislation, and make their voices heard and stand with the autism population.
But let me just intercede 1 second there.
Yes, please.
In order for that to happen, because it has to happen, we as a community, as a country, we have to educate those individuals, because you have kids who are going to school with our children that aren't even educated on what their disability is. And because they're not educated and it's different for them, they tend to treat it in a negative way. That's where you have bullying. That's where you have misunderstanding. I think it's important for the world, the country and the world, to start to educate everyone, because we all know New Jersey, and I said this earlier, New Jersey has the highest rate of autism in our country. 1 in every 32 children in the state of New Jersey has some form of autism. Nationally, it's about 101 in every 54. So that means that 1 in every 54 child throughout this country has some form of autism, and they're going to be placed in classrooms. And these children need to be told that this child has something called autism, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to be learned. It's something to be accepted. And until we can do that, we're not going to get what our children need. And it's up to us as parents and as teachers and educators to make the decisions, the administrators, and you don't want me to get on top of that. But
no, but what you're saying, Nadine,
don't get on top of
Nadine, is about that. what you're saying about that, also in the school, but also in the community, because they're out there in the community. We have
We
to
got to
get our
educate.
police officers. The police officers need to know we have too many people that have autism in jail, and they should not be in jail. That's not where they should be. We need to get our fire department to know how to deal with them. There's so many people in the community, like you said.
You have the power, Marsha. You have the power to make that happen in your community. The one thing I've learned through this journey, you know, and asking for things like I wanted to have an autism safety swim program in my community. All I did was ask, and I was told, I said, well, why didn't you have one before? No one asked, you know, and I went and did this in 2 different cities. In the city of East Orange, where I live, they adopted and created an autism swim safety program for children with autism, the first of its kind in the Essex County community that I live in. I also went to the city of Newark, and I said, can we have an autism swim class for our children? Because just sometimes we can't be mixed with the general population when we're going through these things. And we know children on the autism spectrum love water. So instead of having these drownings, let's teach them how to swim and let's get the people to do it. So I'm very pleased to say, because of Nason's Place, just asking, we were able to get 2 autism swim programs in 2 of the major cities in the community that I live in. And you ladies can do the same. And the one thing I can tell you, Marsha, and I got to talk about this a little bit because you talked about money and how you're trying to go out there and get it. Listen, when I started this journey 8 years ago, I used to get mad as heck because I would write letters and send emails, and it was always no.
That's me.
Yeah, but one thing I had to learn through this, I used to take it personally, but I had to learn that it wasn't personal, right? Because I said, I'm not asking them for any more money. It wasn't for me. So what I had to do, for every 100 no's or 1,000 no's I got 1 yes. So that means I accomplished something. And one other thing that I've learned is you got to put in the work. You know, there's so many parents like you and I who are very passionate about what we want to do, but so many people have heard it and then they stop. They started and then they stop. And then they were like, oh, we invested and now it's not here. So when I say we got to put in the work, we got to show them that we're serious about what we're committed to do. We got to make sure that we're consistent with the programs, the resources that we're providing out there. And that's when you'll see it flooding in, even though it's still not flooding in for us, but we're
It
doing
sounds
okay.
like a flood.
Listen, God allowed us to get a few dollars in and to make a whole feast with it, opposed to a small
Amen.
dinner.
Yes, but listen, ladies.
That's why we're chosen. We know how to stretch that dime into $100.
There it is.
Listen, ladies, we are very passionate about autism. We can talk about this all night. We can make this into a series. I'm going to have to start trying to wrap this up a little bit. So I want you to come up with something that you want to say in closing, you know, so everybody, that you really want everybody to know about autism, and also let everybody know where you can be reached and how they can donate to your foundation, or where you can be found out on social media. Starting with you, Miss Nadine.
Okay.
You know us, we can talk about this for like 3-4 hours. I know us.
That I do know. Well, I will tell you that you can reach us at www.nasonsplace.org. Donations, where it's 501c3 nonprofit, so all your donations are tax deductible. But I also want to say that through this, if anyone out there is interested in starting a nonprofit, doing something in a community that's going to help our children affected by autism, please feel free to reach out. As Marsha said and Vana said, I will be more than happy to assist you anywhere I can. You know, sometimes I get crazy busy, but I'll send you everything I got, the templates, whatever I did. And here's the great thing about what I will do. I won't charge you for it. You know, unfortunately, through this journey, people look at us sometimes as dollar signs to get information. And as long as you're doing something for our kids, I'm going to give you that information. It will not be a cost to you. I might want a steak dinner, but I'm sorry, shrimp and lobster. But with that said, thank you. And I just want to say COVID-19 is real. Parents, please stay safe. Do your part to keep your children safe. Do your part to educate yourselves before you send your children back to school. Make sure that environment is safe, and do your part if you can in your community to help.
Okay, Vane, I want to say something real quick, because we have a SOS show saying, can your documentary be shown here on the SOS show?
Absolutely. And I wanted to start off by thanking Mary Evans for creating this powerful platform where we get to share our stories.
Yes,
So,
yes, Mary.
Thank you.
Mary
Uh,
through a
And a phenomenal co-host, by the way.
Yes. Oh,
Marsha.
yes. My Marsha. So yes, whenever, Mary, whenever. And anyone who would like to screen or view the documentary, My Thiero Boys, A Lifestyle Dealing with Autism, just email me. My name is Vana Thiero. So it's my first initial and last name at AOL. Yes, I'm still AOL. It's VThiero at AOL.com. Again, VThiero at AOL.com. And in the subject, put would like to screen your documentary. And I will get you a link and I will make arrangements to Skype in or Facebook in or however to handle the Q&A. And if you're not that far, I'll do my best to actually show up because I love to be able to connect.
Yeah.
In addition to that, what I'd really like to say to wrap up is we are on the front lines of something catastrophic with, now it's millions upon millions upon millions of children still being born each year, and one day there's not going to be financing from the government to take care of them. And when they become adults and they need housing and employment and they're partial communicators, what's going to happen to them? And that's why I just want you to know your consciousness to reach out to anyone you know with autism, parents who are dealing with autism. First of all, please just have compassion and speak to them and smile at them, because we're shutting a world that if you don't give us the opportunity or permission to share what we're going through, we still are by ourselves, and we need you to hold our hands and help us through this. So the new documentary series, Believing in Miracles in Spite of Autism, is my ode to life, because I believe in miracles and I believe we're going to band together and prevent this population from ending up incarcerated, from ending up homeless, from ending up warehoused in facilities, from ending up ignored and debased by people who refuse to acknowledge them as beautiful human beings.
Yeah.
That's about it. So thank you, Marsha. Now, you give us your summary. What are you leaving us with, my love?
I'm going to leave you guys with, first of all, my foundation, Inspirational Spectrum Heroes. I have a website, inspirationalspectrumheroes.com. I have a Facebook page and a group, same name, Inspirational Spectrum Heroes. I have my own Facebook page, Marsha Easley. You can inbox me there. I have an Instagram page, Marsha Easley 111. So you can reach me on all kind of various levels of social media. You can get my phone number. It's not hard to get that either. So what I want to say is I want to thank these ladies for taking their time out of their busy day to come in and, educate people on autism awareness, and the lives that we have as moms and what we are trying to do for the autism community. I just applaud you guys. You guys are my role models, my mentors, my heroes, my sheroes. So I want everybody out there to, just be a little bit more compassionate about autism. Help us any way you can. Donate whenever you can. When you see me out there doing something, it's not for me. I never do anything for myself. I do it for everybody all the time. So everything, like what Vana says, her son has technology. It costs money. I want to do so much. I gave a party, pretty much out of my own pocket for Christmas, because autism people do not get invited out. People, most of them don't get invited places. They don't have social opportunities and stuff. So whenever you see a social opportunity or you see us doing an event, please come out. It's not just for autism. It's for you to, to come in and join in with them and be a part of the community with them. Don't exclude them. Come in there with us when we do things. Just because it's an autism event, don't mean it's just for autism. I'm sure Nadine says the same thing. I know Vana says the same thing. So that's me. I'm about to get on my soapbox again, but I'm going to close this show out. And ladies, thank you.
Thank you. I miss LA. I can't wait to get back next year. I'm hoping this will be over soon.
I know. Okay. All right. Okay, we're closing.
Smile,
Thanks,
ladies.
everybody.
Smile.
Smile.